Okay, so let's watch this video and I'm going to reply to it and we're going to talk about why these men are so stupid. So let's just listen.
But a VTuber in the UK has been arrested for artwork of their VTubing model. They had their social media account stripped away from them. It appears that they are now being forced to use their real name for their social media account, and now they've been released on bail, and if they were to draw anything outside of safe for work, they will go to prison. This is...
Yeah, and they're forced to reveal their identity on social media to dox them. It's done out of spite by the scumbag British police. This is feminism, by the way, which you won't even mention. You never mention feminism. This is feminism. This is done by feminism, right? It's obvious.
Legitimately the very thing that I talked about over a year ago. This is a Shimonetta world we're getting into. We are at that point now to where Shimonetta was not a parody of society. It wasn't a joke. It wasn't a comedy. It was foreshadowing the future of society. Foreshadowing that you have a government, the UK, that is more preoccupied for artists drawing artwork that isn't real. They're more preoccupied of that than dealing with, let's say, rape gangs.
So this guy's another low IQ idiot. This guy's a moron, like a typical male. He's like waffling about these imaginary rape gangs, right? So they're pimping gangs, right? They're pimping gangs, and sometimes they pimp out underage girls. Sometimes they get like teenage 14 or 15-year-old girls to their sex parties. They ply them with drugs, and yet maybe one or two of them are rapists, right? But it's all overblown. It's hysteria. I've seen like retards claim like 250,000 girls were groomed in like the north of England, which is actually fucking impossible, right? So these grooming gangs have like targeted like 100% of an entire demographic in an area. It's just stupid, right? It's low IQ, lizard brain hostility of the typical man. It's derailing from the real issue, right?
Criminals on the street, and also allowing actual cousin incest marriage within the UK, by the way. But they are hammering in on art and just artists
I'm not
in
sure that's.
general, and they are censoring them. They are
Sorry,
throwing them
I'm
in
not sure that's true or not.
jail. This is a pure example
Right,
of that. So let's
right. I'm not sure that's true or not. All right, or that it's out of context. I don't care about cousin marriage in the UK. And I'm going to explain why I don't care about cousin marriage in the UK. In fact, if our society, if the UK, British society is to be logically consistent legally, it should allow cousin marriage and incest babies. It should allow It should allow mother son marriage and father daughter marriage and brother sister marriage if it's been consistent. I'm not actually for these things, but it's going to be consistent because I'm going to explain why. Okay, because the reason to be against incest, right? It is icky and disgusting incest, but the real reason to be against incest, it leads to damaged babies. And this is linked to the video in more than one ways, right? This is what female supremacy looks like. I've probably shown this at least 2 times on my channel. I'm drinking and smoking because it's a boy. Pregnant model who had a boob job at the NHS says she would have an abortion if she known it wasn't a girl, right? So that's real misandry. And she's like smoking, drinking on purpose. And you're allowed to. There was a legal case, like a child who had fetal alcohol syndrome tried to sue a mother, and she couldn't legally hold her responsible. You can't legally hold mothers responsible for fetal alcohol syndrome, right? This is fetal alcohol syndrome, right? Okay, so if we're going to be logically consistent, we should allow cousin marriages because we should. If you don't give a shit about fetal alcohol syndrome society and you're silent on it, and you don't do anything about it, and you allow mothers to do it due to female supremacy, you've got to allow incest marriage. You want to be consistent, right? Okay, and these low IQ males who make up these channels, right? These dumbasses. Okay, they waffle on about rape gangs and grooming gangs, but they don't actually point this out. If there's a rape gang going about, it's actually illegal, right? Grooming gangs actually go to prison when they get caught, and it's illegal. Okay, right? But she can do this openly. Okay, this is worse than paedophilia. Okay, I'd rather be molested or raped than be a victim of fetal alcohol syndrome, right? This is at the worst form of child abuse and child neglect imaginable. It's not neglect; it's child sabotage. It's like child poisoning. It's like on a genetic level. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. right? That we enable this. This is a pro-child abuse society, and all the mental defects on the YouTube videos are waffling about Epstein obsessively and grooming gangs, right? Like, grow the fuck up. Grow the fuck up. Let's carry on watching.
Read this official statement that broke this news story earlier this morning. So, good afternoon, Bun Buns. Sincere apologies for the absence. Mimi has a long story to tell. On Monday, April 20th, Mimi was arrested by the UK police for possession of her artwork and her artwork alone. She's currently
Speaking in the third person. Is it a real female? It's a VTuber with a digital avatar. But let's carry on.
on bail pending the outcome of a criminal investigation into her accounts and activities. All of her devices were seized as a result of the arrest. As a result of her bail conditions, Mimi has to move to a new account and is required to use a header name on her new account that her bail officers have agreed to.
It's a doxing. This is doxing. The police, the British police are scum. They're scum. This is pure maliciousness. They do things like this all the time. I'm going to do. I've seen YouTube videos of British police punching members of the public for no reason. Like, the British police officer called the man a cunt, and the guy walks up and says, "Why do you call me that?" And the officer just punched him. The officer was never jailed for it. Right? He was eventually fired after a lot of legal hassle. Yeah. But can you imagine, like, if you worked at McDonald's and you decided to punch a customer, you wouldn't just get fired from your job, you'd go to jail, right? But I'm just saying, the police are malicious scum. They enforce these domestic violence protection orders, right? Okay? They enforce all these misinterest laws, these anti-male laws, these anti-staring laws, right? The police are responsible and the police are scum, right?
The account in question is Mimi Yabai. Per her bail conditions, her activities for the foreseeable future have to be both safe for work and fully transparent. In order to prevent
raunchy pics. I don't get the logic. If you're out on bail, right? There's no point trying to figure out the logic because it's pure maliciousness. But if you're out on bail, there's no reason why you should be banned from drawing pornographic pictures, fictional pornographic pictures. Yeah, it's not like you're on bail. You're not allowed to do something that you should be. You're legally allowed to do anyway. Like, I don't care if you're a fucking serial killer out on bail, right? Let's say there's an artist serial killer out on bail, right? Okay, for whatever reason, right? He managed to get bail even though he's a serial killer. Let's say hypothetically he's out on bail, and he was on his bail conditions was you're not allowed to draw sexy pictures. How the fuck is that relevant? So this is like the controlling, high social dominance orientated mindset of the police and of the British legal system. Yeah, the police are scum.
prevent a breach of her bail conditions. Mimi apologizes sincerely from the bottom of her heart for letting all of you down and for disappointing you in such a way. Now, a few hours after this post was made, this account went private and she changed her actual name to her real legal name from my understanding because of the UK forcing her to do this. Now,
It's doxing. It's basically doxing, yeah? Basically doxing. Dox yourself. LOL. She should have closed the social media down, but she was forced to dox herself, or what? If he's a she, right? Forced to dox himself out of pure spite. What? If you haven't been convicted in a court of law, you're not guilty of anything, so you should not be forced to dox yourself. This is pure maliciousness and spite again. And we live in a country in the UK. Women who falsely accuse, you're not allowed to identify. The thing is, you're not allowed to identify women who falsely accused or accuse men of rape, but you identify the man accused of rape. So what's happening in the past, and this is very scary, there was actually loads of news stories of women who made football allegations, but due to the law change just a few years ago, the British media can't report on them. So there could be women out there right now falsely accusing multiple men, right? And you don't know their identity. Yeah? Right? And in fact, a lot of these women have already been caught because it was open and you could report on these women doing these false reports. We can't report on them anymore, right? But you dox an artist, right?
I do want to reiterate something about this little statement from Mimi before I get into showcasing her VTubing model. In this statement, she points out her bail conditions that for the foreseeable future, she cannot draw anything that's outside of safe for work. It needs to be fully transparent, and it cannot be anything outside of SFW, which basically means that any form of NSFW content that Mimi was to draw and have would basically break her bail. That means if she was to do like a tall, like, giant woman with great ass.
I'm going to say something. If I ever get bail conditions like this, I'm just going to punch the police officer in the police station. And I know I'll get the absolute shit kicked out of me and my face broken in, but I don't care, right? I honestly don't care. The fucking cheek of the police. This is why I hate the police, yeah? So
assets, that would break her bail conditions. That's at the very least the way the statement is described from Mimi herself, this VTuber, what would happen. That she straight up just, basically, if you're an artist that draws adult content, you will be arrested. That is basically what this is suggesting here. Now, let's shift over into what her actual model looks like. Now, I'm going to address the elephant in the room.
okay, so let's have a look. Zooming in. So, oh my god, this PC is so crap. I'll get another PC in a while. Right? Yeah, it slows a load. So it's a lolly model, right? And it's done out of spite. Like this is not my thing, but so what? Right? It's fictional. It's not my thing, but so what? The person should not be forced to dox himself or be arrested over this, right? If this person's arrested over their drawings, whatever they draw, they're arrested over their drawings, right? There should be no arresting over drawings. Period. There should be no drawings. I don't care if it's like discussing pictures of murder, of necrophilia, of cannibalism, of rape, right? I don't care what the drawings are. There should be no drawings that get you arrested. If you're doing it privately or your own internet space and you're not showing it to members of the public on the street, you should be able to draw whatever the fuck you want, right? So there's no pretext for this. The British society is fucking. You can get arrested for supporting Palestine action, being against genocide, yeah, right? Okay. Anyway, I don't have to watch the whole of this video. So I'll show one or two comments. It shows you how low IQ the people are. And when you're looking at these channels more often, right? Okay. The UK grooming gangs, I sleep. Cartoon drawings, absolutely fucking not. So again, these idiots are obsessed with the grooming gangs. So what it is, it's begging, go after these bad men instead of going after us. That's what it is. Oh, these bad men. The police don't give a shit about grooming gangs, and they don't give a shit about cartoon drawings. They want to go after men out of spite. Period. Yeah. The thing is, grooming gangs will get arrested, so there's when they get caught. And this person's low IQ. This is awful. Treating drawings as real victims only hurts actual people. So these men are stupid. They're not treating drawings as real victims. They're going after men, right? Because they assume that this sort of stuff appeals to men, right? They assume that men like anime. There's feminists saying that all anime should be outlawed now. I'll do a video on that soon. Yeah. So this is just going after what men like. They're going after video games. They're going after anime. Yeah. Look, another one. Meanwhile, crimes, gang rapes, and violent attacks are widespread in the UK. And yet, this guy is an idiot. Violent rapes are not widespread in the UK. Rape is one of the rarest crimes. It's like one of the. It's in the top tier of the rarest violent crimes. So this guy's a low IQ idiot. So it's just like this guy's basically a feminist, right? That's a feminist narrative. Like rapes are common. Yeah. The UK will defend the kids in fiction. They're not defending fictional kids. Again, these people are low IQ, but fail to protect any of them in the real world. He's probably talking about grooming gangs again. The real kids failing to be protected are these kids by mothers. The biggest dangers to the kids are mothers. Yeah? Okay. Over and out.